Hey everybody, our guest this week reached out to the show when he came across the blog for the year-end album list I made, realized his band was on it. I'm really happy he did. Otherwise, episode 44 of In It to Spin It with Wildlife wouldn't have been possible. Let's check it out. Andy, I gotta say I love the soul glow idea. The funk and electro genre is one that's close to my heart. Personal recommendation from my own collection is this UK import. It will not disappoint. Check it out, man. So chances are, if you like Wildlife, you like Ride and Brian Jonestown Massacre. We're gonna have a little fun here in order to get some dialogue going. Battle of the 8-minute song starts now. Ride's entry is Leave Them All Behind. We'll link that there. Brian Jonestown Massacre's entry is Swallowtail. And Wildlife's is Love Hums. All fantastic tracks. Really love the vibe and the essence in these. Comment down below who wins. So before we take a look at the interview, check out some of the record spots we found in and around the Seattle area. So when we hit Seattle, we usually go to the obvious ones, Silver Platters and Easy Street and various others, but we thought we'd try some antique stuff. Found some great stores with decent prices. Nothing beat or came close to Aladdin's, though. This is in downtown Bellingham, the Lakeview exit. Huge supply of records. I've never seen a record store have so many Beatles albums that they actually split them up by album, and they even had more underneath. Just a gigantic space, every genre, and this is only one part of the store. The store was filled with other stuff. I will definitely go back to this place. Prices weren't gouging, they weren't overly expensive, but they weren't cheap either. The other antique places I was getting $1, $2 records. This one I wouldn't pay more than $5. I only picked up a couple from here because that to me is expensive nowadays. This back room here is just 45s, 8 tracks and tapes, collector's paradise. I found some decent stuff over the week, a couple days I was here, so check it out. Humble Pie. First Budgie album, first Jam album I've ever owned. I'm loving the Soft Cell. Never saw that Commander Cody before. A couple of Allman Brothers, can't go wrong. Never owned any Mountain prior to that. This is great, John Entwistle, get that. Flat as a Pancake by Head East, great 70s. Solo Roger Waters and Two Country Joe and the Fish. So we had lined it up with Andy that we'd meet him at Zion's Gate Records, a fantastic record store in Seattle. Here's how it all went down. Hey everybody out there, we are in Zion's Gate in Seattle. What would you call this area of Seattle?
This is the Capitol Hill neighborhood of Seattle.
Capitol Hill neighborhood of Seattle with Andy of Wildlife. Thanks for being here. Say hi to everyone out there.
Hello, all you out there in TV land.
Nice. Yeah, it's good to be in here with you. Thanks for doing the show.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So let's get right into it. So Details came out in 2013.
2013.
Yeah.
Recorded in 2011,
okay.
I think. Yeah, we recorded it, I forget exactly when. It probably says in there. I think 2011, summer of 2011.
Okay.
And our guitar player, Matt, moved away like pretty much directly after we finished recording that.
Yeah.
And sat on it for a while and mixed, like spent a lot of time mixing and overdubbing it. So
yeah.
Hence why it came out 2 years later.
Okay,
so, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I love this album. It's what would you explain? How would you describe this thing? Are you happy with the way it came out?
I'm super. I think that I'm most happy with that out of everything we've done because we were in total control of the whole thing. We recorded it and mixed it all ourselves. So yeah, like couldn't be more happy with it.
Okay, yeah, it's a great sort of a trippy journey, heavy, pummeling, swirling, psychedelic sounds.
Yeah.
Definitely the standout track, the highlight of the album for me is Love Hums. I think it's a fantastic track. If you guys are all new to this band, Wildlife, we'll link that right here.
Cool.
It's an absolute must hear.
Yeah, it's a good song.
So take us...
Big shout-outs to Matt for writing that song.
Yeah, it's a sweet song. Every time I forget exactly what I'm in for it, and then just every part of that song is memorable. Like, it goes from section to section, 8-minute tracks. So,
totally. Yeah, it's a nice classic, long Wildlife song. Right?
Yeah. Take us through a bit of the backstory, history, just quickly. Like, how did this all come together?
How did we all come together? Well, myself, Matt, and Will, who are the other two guys in Wildlife, we all went to school at a music school on the East Coast called Berkeley, and we all met in college, so young budding college boys. And just started, well, Matt and I originally were just jamming together, doing a project called Best Death Ever, and that was actually the original name of Wildlife.
Oh, yeah.
And Will came along and was like, dude, let me play drums with you guys. And we were like, all right, cool. And Matt had never played guitar before, so he just started playing guitar. And we started out really influenced by like Jesus Lizard stuff and Melvin, so kind of like a combination of those two sounds. And we just kind of all got into stuff along the way and became the band that we are. But so that was in Boston in I think 2004.
So out of there,
well, none of us are from there. I'm from here, and those other guys are from the Baltimore, DC area.
Okay.
So we were a band in Boston for like 2 or 3 years, and then we moved to San Francisco together as a band because we were like, cool, San Francisco. Yeah, totally. And that was awesome. We like were a part of a really amazing scene down there. And in 2008, I had some family stuff that brought me back up here.
Okay.
And the guys were like, all right, well, you know, we came out to San Francisco with you, so let's go to Seattle.
Nice.
So that's kind of us in a nutshell. We did like a handful of tours and have a lot of recorded material that probably no one knows about.
Okay. That's always good. Always handy if you want to get a release out.
Yeah. Check out our Discogs page for all of that stuff.
Okay.
So that's Wildlife in a nutshell.
Okay.
In a very small nutshell.
We got to touch on the name. Wildildlife. I'll put it up. Wildildlife.
Yeah.
I assume there's another band with that name. That's my guessing.
Yeah, that's a very good guess.
Yeah.
So when we were in San Francisco, there was another band. I think they were from Oakland or something.
Yeah.
And they had stuff on iTunes released as The Wildlife, and we were about to put out our first full-length CD on Crucial Blast, and it was like a week before we had to submit all our artwork, and we get this email like, hey, you got to change your name, or like stop using that name because blah blah blah.
They served you.
They gave us a little service there.
Yeah.
So we were like racking our brain. We're like, well, we've been using this name for like 3 or 4 years now. Should we just put a Y in there? No, that looks lame. Should we put an E in there? No, that looks lame. And we used a lot of delay pedals, like always throughout Wildlife. So we're all just sitting around, and then one day we're like, what if we just kind of make it sound like it echoes like Wildlife, like a delay pedal?
That works.
So yeah, that probably wasn't the best career move because I should have just saved like all the flyers that have like weird versions of our name. Like Wildildlife was a common one. Like people would forget the extra D.
Yeah.
So Wildildlife, Will Dildo Life. I don't know.
Everything under the sun.
Yeah, everything under the sun.
But it's just pronounced Wildlife.
Wildlife is, you know, we've just kind of stuck with that.
Okay.
But yeah, we sure did a good job of confusing some people with that.
Yeah. So. It's a tricky one. I was pronouncing it Wildildlife, I think.
Yeah, and that's not wrong.
Yeah.
That's definitely not wrong. So
okay.
I just like to say Wildlife because it sounds easier.
Okay.
People know what that is.
So 07, I believe. Yeah, 07 was your debut, then you had another one in 2010. That brings us up to this one. I want to just talk about this record sort of just appeared, I think. I don't think there was much fanfare.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the lack of, not promotion, but the lack of presence in the social media realm because your actual .com, wildildlife.com, hasn't been updated in almost 2 years.
Yeah,
Facebook,
totally.
Vacant for 2 years.
Yeah.
So I would never have found out about this other than the Volcom Singles Club.
Yeah.
So what's with that?
Well, we kind of stopped being a band when Matt moved away, just because, you know, he didn't live here anymore. So when that happened, we didn't like give up, but we just weren't really like, we weren't booking shows, we weren't doing tours.
Yeah.
we knew that we were going to put another album out, but we just didn't have any like real feasible future. So I think that would explain why stuff hasn't been updated for a long time. I mean, we used to do that, like myself and Matt would take care of our MySpace back in the day, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, just when we stopped kind of practicing and playing shows, we were just like, well, people will hear this record somehow. Yeah.
Well, I think I wrote in my year-end blog, it's kind of like a breath of fresh air, because in the 70s and 80s, bands could control what comes out, and you guys are kind of like an enigma. If people have found this album, there's not much information on you guys out there, so it's kind of like a bit of mystique.
It's like
that's lacking in today's day and age of music, so it's kind of a little cherry gem that I like it. It's cool.
I'm glad that you enjoyed that.
So I mentioned how it came out on Volcom. Talk a little bit about your relationship, because I know a bunch of your other stuff.
So we've got those 2 full lengths, and then this 7-inch, which is a split with our friends band Flood, and then we have another 7-inch that's really rare these days. It's a split with Harvey Milk, and that was the first thing we did with Volcom, and that was for the Singles Club. So the way that all came about was there's a band. They were called RTX, now called Black Bananas, and
Royal Trucks.
So I was a huge fan of them, and just kind of happenstance got to know them. And the bass player Kurt of that band works for Volcom, and actually he does the Singles Club.
Oh, nice.
So he's the guy who was kind of like, hey, like, we do this record label. Would you guys want to do some stuff with us? So it just kind of randomly worked out.
Nice. Well, good job, Kurt, if you're watching this, because it's a hell of a Singles Club. It's great.
And Reed Sheldon also.
Some great music, like that Radio Moscow one was the first one. That was fantastic single. The Torch one.
Torch,
they're really good. And you guys, so I was exposed to a lot of great stuff.
The Singles Club is awesome.
Okay, so that's how that came about. What else are we talking about? Okay, you got a Vancouver connection.
Yeah, we did.
We want to just touch on that because it's kind of nice. Johnny DeCourcy, who's appeared on this show before.
Awesome.
You're
Great
buddies
guy.
with him.
Yeah.
Just explain how you got to know him.
So Wildildlife, there was another band in Seattle that we played with quite a bit called Emeralds. And so Emeralds had played with Black Lizard. It was either Black Lizard or Spread Eagle or trying to remember the other band that they might have played with. But so they booked us a show, both of us, to go up and play with Black Lizard a couple dates in the area. In Vancouver. We played a high school kid's house in Squamish, and that's where this photo was taken, actually.
There.
This one, that's me and Nick at Will's house in Squamish.
Okay.
So we played there with Black Lizard, and then played Vancouver the next night with them, and just like got along really well and liked each other's bands and stuff. And Wildildlife went back up, I think, 1 or 2 more times to play with Black Lizard.
And I was at those shows.
I think probably my favorite one we did was at the Zoo Shop, which I don't know if that place is still around.
Just moved.
That was an amazing show.
Shout out to David, runner.
Cool.
At the Zoo Shop.
You got a cool shot, man. So that's how I got hooked up with Johnny and the Black Lizard guys, and then Johnny is no longer in Black Lizard, and I do a different band called Brain Drain on hat. And so Brain Drain has gone up and played with the Death Rangers a couple times, and they've come down here to play a couple times. So
good connection. Buddies across the border.
Became friends, and they made it really easy for us because we'd never bring. I shouldn't say this, but we'd never bring gear or didn't have the paperwork to go up and play. We were just going up for the night.
Really? Okay.
And those guys had access to just a ton of gear through Bully's studio, which is awesome. Bully's
Westminster.
New West. So they would just have awesome gear for us to play, and when they'd come down here, we'd say, return the favor. So that's how that all came about.
And he's got a fantastic solo album. Rangers
we got it. We got it here. I love the Death Rangers, and I love Vancouver. I love going up to play there, man. It's like really refreshing compared to some shows in Seattle.
Yeah, hopefully you get up there again.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, well I think that about wraps it up. I can't say enough about Details. It's the greatest record to come into my life at will last year, like just out of nowhere. Fantastic stuff on there, and best of luck in the future, man. Thanks for doing it.
Yeah, man. Word.
How's that? Good?
That was awesome.
Cool. Yeah, Johnny's so great, man.